This video is a long time coming. Today we're checking out a new ASUS TRX50 board. Well, at least it's new to me. It's the TRX50 Sage Wi-Fi, but the keen eye out there may have noticed something. It already has a 64-core CPU in the socket, but that's not the only thing. Along with this board came the 32-core chip as well. What we're doing in this video is taking a little bit of a closer look at this board because I think you guys might find it somewhat interesting. And with these motherboard videos, it's not a review, it's just an overview because I want to show you some of the features with this new board from ASUS. Let's do a motherboard thing. All right, ladies and gents, here it is, the ASUS ProWX TRX50 Sage Wi-Fi. This board has been absolutely thrashed, but we'll show it to you guys anyway because it came from someone else. And I thought I'd show it to you because, you know, you might find something interesting if you haven't seen any of these new Threadripper boards. But as usual, let's get the motherboard out of the way. Look at that, it's got a CPU on it. It's got the 7980X on it already, so you know how this is going. All right, let's get you out of the way and show you what this board comes with. I suspect this board will have a few things missing because not everyone is as, what's the word? First of all, we've got a bit of documentation, quick start guide. This is a nice quick start guide because it shows you what everything is on the board on the cover, which is good because if you don't know what you're doing, this is going to help. Look at all these labels. Look at them all. So friendly, so helpful. These are a very interesting cable. This is EPS to PCIe power, and this is a converter cable. As you're about to see when you have motherboards like this, they typically have a lot of additional PCIe power because the slots drink lots of lanes, right? Does that make sense? Don't know. Righto, we've got a Wi-Fi antenna for the built-in Wi-Fi. Look at that perfectly packaged Wi-Fi antenna. It's never been so much as licked. We've got two SATA cables for your 2.5-inch SSDs or your spinning RUS drives. I think we can do away with having SATA cables in motherboard boxes of this caliber now. I don't think we need them. I can guarantee you that you've got about 84 of them sitting in some cable box or drawer in your house anyway. We've got some M.2 biddies. These are some isolation pads for the M.2 drive and your motherboard, and some spare M.2 clips. Screws on M.2s are for losers, right? I don't know why I'm like this today. We've got this little front connector. This is for plugging all your lights and your switches in to let you know your system's on and to turn that thing on. Now, these can be pretty helpful if you're thinking of putting this in a rack mount case because sometimes you can't get your hands in the places they need to go to do the things, and this will help you guide it into the place where it goes. Speaking of guiding things into places where they go, this is a thermal probe and it probes your thermals, and that's all it does really. Yeah, put this somewhere in your case and you can use this to either monitor thermal performance in a certain part of your case or to help control your fans and all of that jazz. I'm gonna be honest with you, for a motherboard that costs as much as a house deposit, there isn't much that comes with this board. And lastly, we have the ASUS WS-TRX50 Sage Wi-Fi workstation motherboard. Let's take a closer look. I'm also as disappointed as you guys because there's no unsheathing to be had today. First of all, we've got the front panel audio header. There is a PWM fan header. There's also a power button and a flex key that you can remap in the BIOS. There is the postcode LED screen. There's a serial port header. There's also a USB 4 header for the add-in card. There is an LN2 switch and another switch for testing the VRM. There's two USB 2.0 headers. There's a safe boot button as well as a retry button. Then there's a header for the BMC, which is not included with the board. as well as 2 more PWM fan headers and the front panel connector for your lights and your switches to let you know your system's up and running. There's a slim SAS port which supports PCIe Gen 4, 2 SATA ports for your 2.5-inch SSDs or your spinning Rust drives, a right-angled USB front panel header. There's also some power. There's another PWM fan header. There's front panel USB Type-C, and there's also 2 24-pin power connectors because boards like this support redundant power supplies. You'll want to use the gray one and not the black one if you're using a single power supply in this instance. That's why the caps are still on here. Now, if we take a look at the top edge of the board, we have another 8-pin EPS power connector. There's 2 more PWM fan headers for fans, quite obviously. And if we scoot on over to the other top edge of the board, there's an 8-pin PCIe power connector and an 8-pin EPS power connector. 4 PCIe slots, all of them are by 16 size, but they're not all wide that way. There's 2 PCIe Gen 5 by 16 slots, 1 PCIe Gen 5 by 8 slot, a PCIe Gen 4 by 16 slot, and a PCIe Gen 4 by 4 slot. There's also this sticker here. Now, this will explain how to install a single power supply or dual redundant power supplies because, like I mentioned, it supports 2 power supplies. The VRM layout on the Sage is ridiculous. It's got 18x2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 4 phase digital VRM layout. It is so crazy because this board does support the 96 core CPU. Not all of these boards will do it well, but the Sage is designed to be an absolute monster. But to be honest, in terms of Threadripper boards, it's kind of middle of the road in terms of feature set and for power delivery, which is insane. What's interesting about the STR5 socket is it supports coolers from previous generation Threadripper, which means if you've already got a system and you're upgrading, you're good to go. The TRX50 Sage not only supports Threadripper 7000, it also supports Threadripper Pro 7000. The main thing is you're not getting that 8-channel memory support with a Threadripper Pro chip. Let's open the socket here so I can show you what this new socket looks like. Now, there is a bit of an issue. The last person who had this board and CPU did not use this tool and they completely over tightened the socket and they ended up bending screws 2 and 3 on the retention system. Absolute rookie behavior. All right, let's take a look into the socket. Now, the socket is slightly bigger than original Threadripper, both TR4 and STRX4. Flipping the board over, there's not a lot to see here. There's just the regular backplate on the back of the socket. In terms of memory support, this has 4 DDR5 ECC RDIMM slots, supporting up to a total of a whopping 1 terabyte of RAM. Absolutely crazy. All right, let's take off the heatsinks to take a look at what the storage situation is. It's got 2 PCIe Gen 5 by 4 M.2 slots and a single PCIe Gen 4 by 4 M.2 slot. So it's adequate, but probably not enough if I'm being honest. For rear I/O, we've got a clear CMOS button, there's a BIOS flashback button, there's 20GB USB-C. Now, I think the difference between this board here and the retail one is the retail one has Wi-Fi 7. This one's only got Wi-Fi 6E. It's also got 2.5 gigabit Intel Ethernet, some 10 gigabit USB Type-A ports, 10 gigabit Marvel Action Ethernet controller, which could have easily been an Intel controller, as well as some more USB Type-A ports and an audio interface, which is, to be honest, a little bit lacking. But if you're building a workstation with this board, you're going to be using a different audio interface anyway. I hope you guys enjoyed this little bit of a look at the TRX50 Sage Wi-Fi from ASUS. Now, this board and these CPUs took far too long to come to us, and I'm not complaining about it, but they were supposed to be with us back in December last year. I've got a bone to pick with the last reviewer that had this. I'm not going to say who it is, But basically, you would have seen the clip where I was opening the socket for the first time with the overhead camera. And one thing I noticed was, well, a couple things. First of all, there was a lot of thermal paste left over in the socket, well, around the edge of the chip. As well as that, when I opened the socket up, there was fluffy cat hair in the socket as well. Our cat doesn't shed, and she's not fluffy like that, and it's not even the same hair color. The other thing is, this fucking tool exists for a reason, because it has a torque setting for these sockets, right? If you don't use it, you can over tighten it. What the last person did was they over tightened it, and 3 and 2, these two screws here, they've been pushed in so far, they've bent the bracket inwards. So if you're watching this, which you probably never will, be responsible and use the tool. Otherwise you're gonna ruin it for the next person. So yeah, I'm hoping this board still even works. If it doesn't, it's not a big deal because I have another TRX50 board, but come on, man. Usually I wouldn't even address something like this because it's not worth talking about, but come on. Like, this is an 8,600 Aussie dollar CPU on a $1,700 motherboard. Show the hardware a little bit of respect. Also, it wouldn't hurt to just clean the rest of the dirt and the dust off the board if it's going to someone else. Like, come on. I would never send a motherboard to somebody like this in this condition. The other thing is I can fully appreciate how expensive this hardware is, especially if you want the privilege of the TRX50 Sage Wi-Fi. You're looking at spending around about 900 US dollars or around about 1,700 Aussie dollars at the time of filming this video. That is a crazy amount of money for a board like this, given from my experience, especially with the WRX80 Sage from Threadripper Pro, this doesn't even have a fraction of the features of that board. It only has 4 DIMM slots as well, which is okay because it's not Threadripper Pro and these are quad channel CPUs. But just other small things like the fact that it doesn't have 7 PCIe slots like all the other Threadripper Pro stuff, even though, okay, I'm going off track here. This is supposed to be consumer grade Threadripper, not Threadripper Pro, but for that money, yeah, we should at least get all of the PCIe slots. And I know people won't use all of them. I get it, guys. I'm not an idiot, but it would be nice to see all of the slots here for your hard-earned money. These CPUs have more than enough PCIe lanes to handle it, so yeah. It's just a bit strange to me, but at the same time, they do have WRX90, which is designed to have more PCIe lanes for Threadripper Pro, all that rigmarole. But that's not the end of you seeing this board on the channel. Because this has got the Threadripper 7980X, I'm gonna put this into my editing PC and I'm gonna compare it to my current Threadripper Pro system, and I'm gonna do another build with the 32 core to do a proper direct comparison to see what the uplift is between a couple generations and whether or not it would be worth upgrading if you were looking at hardware like this. Because like I said, realistically, you're not spending 8,600 Aussie dollars or 5,000 US dollars on a CPU. You're just not doing it unless you work in a lab and you're trying to do something insane, or if you're doing AI, which you need more GPUs for anyway. But yeah, there are lots of use cases like this. And for me, it's editing in Premiere Pro. Yeah, that's a pretty ridiculous thing to say, but more cores means I can do things quicker, especially with After Effects as well. It's so CPU reliant that more cores equals killing time. I'm gonna put these builds up against my Sapphire Rapids Xeon system, my Threadripper Pro system, and my Mac Studio, because I think there's gonna be some surprises again with the Mac Studio being far too powerful for what it is. All right, guys, I'm done ranting. If you like the music you heard here, I make all the music. It's available by clicking that join button right down there down below. Once again, thank you so very much for watching. I'm your boy Nick with Gear Seekers. New peak, we seek, and this has been a very long time coming. I'm very excited for this. I'm just a bit frustrated by, I don't know, people just don't look after stuff that is eventually going to go to other people, and yeah, I just don't think that's cool. It put a bit of a dampener on my excitement because I was like having fun filming the video. I'm like, are you kidding me? Anyway, catch you next time. Probably tomorrow, where I'm going to build this thing or maybe next week. I don't know. I'm going to Taiwan very soon, so maybe after that. I don't know. It's coming soon. Subscribe and all that shit that people tell you to do on YouTube. I don't care. You don't watch the videos anyway. Goodbye. But don't you guys think I need a haircut? It's getting a bit.
Yes.
It's getting a bit crazy.
Cut it.
No.
The hair, not the clip. Cut the hair.
Oh, yeah, I could probably do that.